Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce and I am here with
Jace Marsiglia.
and you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
Hello.
That was enthusiastic. I wasn't expecting enthusiasm.
No,
No, I wasn't.
it's because I'm just kind of staring off.
Yeah.
Hello.
I was trying to get you to record like for the last hour and you were just staring out the window.
Just, thinking of
It's like he has the blackest eyes,
the past.
the devil's eyes.
Thinking of taking a magazine
To the bathroom.
and putting it in a... And then... Oh, you meant print magazines. Print magazines.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Not that kind of magazine.
No.
That was a scary segue.
No.
No, I meant print magazine.
We collected a lot of those, didn't we?
We did. And during the course of talking about the show, you kind of threw me for a loop
How's that?
when you said, "Oh, I have only a couple of horror magazines."
Mm-hmm.
To which I said, "What the fuck?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna pull some old shit on you.
That's crazy."
Because my early days of magazine collecting
Yeah.
was not very horror oriented because I was getting magazines subscribed to me by my parents.
Okay.
And I enjoyed them, but I didn't really get into the horror mag scene until early teens when I really started watching horror. So yeah. Some of my picks here when I went down memory lane, these are going to be weird for you, I think.
Weird me out.
Let me go first.
Start me off. Weird me out. Yeah. Because I don't really have a list as I do a bunch of shit to just pull from.
Yeah. I pulled up a couple of these because there were a couple I forgot the names.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found them just now and was like, oh, that's what it was called.
Okay.
Because I recognize the covers. And some of these, I'll be honest with you, I'm still surprised that these are still rocking and rolling.
Down to the beach, I'm strolling.
Stop it now. I'll start with one of the more obvious ones. Highlights.
I fucking knew you were going to say highlights.
Did you?
I really should have said it.
Were you a highlights kid?
I was.
You know what I loved about highlights? The find the object
Yeah.
pages. That's all I remember doing.
Yep.
Was find the object. And I still do that shit. Because there's games now. You can play games on your computer or on your phone where it's like, a haunted mansion.
Oh, it's like the
there's-
equivalent to that.
That's what it feels
Yeah,
like. And
okay.
It does take me back.
Yeah.
But it's like a haunted mansion with looks like a fucking hoarder lives there. There's just weird shit all over the place. And it'll be like, find the bell, find the tennis racket,
Yeah.
And I love that shit. But that's what I loved about highlights. To the horror side, when the October issue had come out, I loved those because they taught me how to do Halloween crafts.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
could take construction paper and make a jack-o'-lantern.
Right.
So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was big. But yeah, my folks got me highlights and I was all about them search for the object
Yeah.
dealies. I don't remember much else. Maybe I did a word search here and there, but they were just fun activity books for a kid. So that was probably my first magazine that was just for me.
Okay.
I don't think my folks were big magazine collectors. I'm sure my dad, collected car magazines, and stuff like that, but I don't remember many magazines around the house.
Right.
But Highlights was the one that it'd come in the mail and I'm like, well, that one's mine. So that got me started, let's say.
Okay. Well, my first memory of a magazine to where I could understand what it was Famous Monsters because my older brothers.
Sure.
I think everything is like the kickoff was my older brothers.
It
Everything
seems to
for
be.
me. It was. It
you,
was.
You got the trickle down.
I got all their old shit, which was fucking cool because their old shit was cool.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
But yeah, I remember seeing all of these old famous, and this was like when they were more or less like sci-fi.
Starlog and stuff.
No, it was still Famous Monsters, but I mean, it was just lots of sci-fi. There wasn't tons of horror
Really?
through the Famous Monsters. Yeah, because you remember they're from 50s, right? 58, 59. Yeah, so there wasn't tons and tons of horror the way there are in the pages of Fango.
Sure.
So.
Well, even early Fango, if you remember, there's
lots of sci-fi. It was kind of the same thing. Because I mean, didn't Forrest Ackerman coin the term sci-fi?
That I don't know.
I think he did.
So even like the Sci-Fi Channel owes a debt to
Oh,
Fori.
for sure.
Yeah, so anytime you use sci-fi, it's
Yeah.
okay.
And we have a close connection to Fori. not getting too sidetracked, because Richard was friends with him and went to his house a lot.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and of course Richard
cool.
didn't want to show up this time because he was too busy. Big Hollywood guy.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
No, that was good. But yeah, no, my first recollection of a magazine was Famous Monsters.
Okay.
And we didn't have a lot, but there was a few. There was enough for me to remember what it was.
Sure, absolutely.
You know? I guess they were monsters because they were science fiction monsters.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that was...
Well, of course, yeah. They're monsters from space and
Yeah.
stuff, and, you know.
And I'm doing my best to really work my old, feeble, decrepit, rotten brain to remember what that shit was. Because I don't have any of them anymore for, like, the ones that they had.
You never, like, went hunting for old back issues or anything?
I do have some.
Sure.
I have some.
Did you ever manage to pick any up that you were like, we had this one?
I don't think so. Not yet.
No.
No, because there are a couple that, like, the image is in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what it is.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I've always hoped that I would find one of them out in the wild.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool, man.
Yeah.
My next one is Hustler. After I put away my highlights book, I drag out the Hustler and see what Nikki and Tina were doing on their clam jam. I'd read letters, you know,
Crazy.
find out what new pornographic films deserved the fully erect or the limp dick.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it is.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something, and you're not gonna believe me. I have never owned a Hustler magazine. The only magazine I've owned,
You talking about like any porno mag?
I don't even think it was a porno mag. It was Playboy. Yeah, I had one Playboy.
Who was it?
I'm trying to remember. It was an actress.
B. Arthur.
I wish. But are you serious with the Hustler?
No, not serious at all.
Fuck!
That was hilarious. That was just a funny segue. No, it was a different kind of porn. It was called Zoo Books. Did you ever get Zoo Books?
No.
It's basically just Animal Planet, but it was for kids.
Zoo books?
Zoo Books. And each issue was a specific animal.
Really?
Yeah.
And you just learn about that animal.
Just learn about that animal. So I'd be like disappointed 9 times out of 10 because it wasn't like fucking sharks or alligators or, you know, something metal, but
It was something crazy like
Yeah,
the
get, like,
fucking the Road Runner.
eagles,
Yeah.
you know, or I'm like, oh, birds. Meh. But then there was one year, 1989, Zoo Books put out a 1 through 10 prehistoric zoo books. And it was basically about everything from the original, what do you call them, like water animals that, you know, evolved into this or that. And then by issue 10, it was like the Ice Age. So I went through the entire prehistoric thing. And as a dinosaur kid, I was just eating it up. Great shit. But yeah, Zoo Books. This was before Animal Planet, kids.
Zoo books. It's crazy. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, and what's funny is it's still kicking.
No shit.
There's still Zoo Books going on. I went looking like, I think I wrote in Google, I was like, Animal Magazine. You know, because I don't remember what it was. And all of a sudden it said Zoo Books. And I'm like, that sounds familiar. Did a Google image search and was like, those are the ones I had.
That's the one.
Yep. And I had stacks. We must have subscribed to that for a few years.
Wow. Zoo books, huh?
Zoo Books.
Interesting. I'm curious. I think my daughter would like them.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's something she would be totally into.
Very good point. She's right at that age.
Yeah.
Because I was into it, man. Animals. I mean, I liked scary animals. We do see a pattern evolving. No, it's just fascinating shit.
Yeah.
I just sit in my room and read about fucking bears,
The bears.
wolves, and then of course dinosaurs. And they had really cool artwork. It wasn't just photos. It was like cool art.
Right.
So I'd use it to try and draw.
It's not, the one I'm going to talk about right now is not a magazine per se. It started as a magazine. It's got a weird history. Midnight Marquee Monsters.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, this is the weird backstory. It started as a fanzine in the 60s by a 13-year-old kid.
Wow.
And they put out some issues, but then in the 90s, I want to say, it was incorporated and they were kind of turned into horror books.
What?
Yeah. And so it was like a magazine, but it was like this, it was just a big horror book. And I remember my brothers having those as well.
I'm looking at one right now.
The Midnight Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Midnight Marquee
Midnight
Monsters
Marquee.
magazine. Yeah. I think it was in 95 when they started doing books, but they did have the magazine run.
The one I'm looking at, issue 40, spring of 1990, with Christopher Lee on the front. Very cool.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Really?
No.
That's cool.
Was it more a local thing? Because it was a fanzine?
I don't know, dude. I just remember buying them at like fucking Stater Brothers.
Yeah, you can still buy some. Midnight Marquee special edition. There's stuff on eBay. I'll be damned. Look at that. Yeah, this is cool. Already, some of the preview photographs are like I'm looking at some shit from like Son of Frankenstein, and I'm like, I've never seen these.
They're very cool.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them on eBay, dude.
I have to check out the eBay.
Super cool. No, good pull.
Because I am, like I said, still a huge magazine collector.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to just collect any kind of obscure, weird horror magazine I can find.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll pick them up.
And it's an expensive hobby.
It can be very expensive.
Yes.
But then there's times where you see something and it's like, it's kind of affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you got to search.
Yes.
You have to search. Unless it's something super rare, then you buy it as soon as you find it.
Horror Hound number 3.
Oh, God. That's my fucking white buffalo.
Well, there's 2 of them out there.
And that's why I don't have many Horror Hound magazines, because that one is so hard to find. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay. My next one is Nintendo Power. I was a massive Nintendo fan. Still am, frankly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not versed enough, as we all know, to play all the new shit. But Nintendo Power, I was fascinated by the fact that they had maps.
Uh-huh.
Screenshots, but
Right.
maps of every level. And I'm like, how the fuck? Like, I remember as a kid, I wanted to try and draw the first level of Mario.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to take some markers and, this is going to look like the shit. These damn magazines that have all the maps out there for you. And I was like, this is fucking sweet.
Yep.
So I loved it, man. Nintendo Power, I bought it more for the maps than anything else.
Than anything else, yeah.
Because again, it was feeding that drawing.
I don't remember buying too many. I had a few.
Mm-hmm.
So these maps were just like basically walkthroughs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But they were done in such a way that it was like you could see, take like Castlevania, for instance. It would show you the stairways down to like the other screens and all.
Yeah.
But they make it like one big, almost a fold-out poster. To me, these were the equivalent of like a digital treasure map. You know what I mean? It showed you where all the hints were. It showed you where hidden shit was.
Right.
Fucking loved it, man.
That's cool.
So, I mean, I got it mostly for that. Obviously, wasn't really reading the articles because that's boring. It's not cool enough to look at.
Right.
But no, I loved it for, cheat codes and all that stuff. And again, the drawer in me.
Mm-hmm.
I was drawing a lot of this stuff. And
Our artist.
yeah,
Artist, our drawer.
I could be the drawer.
You could be the drawer in you.
The penciler.
Or the artiste.
Pencils.
See, if you say artiste and you like wave your hand like in the air holding your 2 fingers and your thumb, there you go. The artiste.
The artiste in me
was
like, I want to draw these maps. I want to draw this castle. I want to draw that subterranean pipe level in Mario,
Yeah.
So I loved Nintendo Power. I thought it was
cool.
fucking rad. And of course, we talked about the infamous second issue with Castlevania on the front.
With the head?
The head.
Yeah.
The one that got them into trouble.
Yeah. Did you had that one?
Mm-hmm. Probably goes for a pretty penny now.
I'm sure it does.
Of course.
I'm sure it does.
It's nowhere. It's probably in a heap somewhere.
Yeah.
30 years deep.
Once we have the 5195 museum, we'll have a copy of it in there.
It deserves its space.
And we'll charge admission for people to come through, which should take all of probably 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, then get the fuck out. We have things to do. We're busy podcasters, all right?
Very busy.
Jesus. Look, I'm so fucking flustered now.
I know. Horror Fan magazine?
Is Horror Fan the one that only had like 4 issues?
Yep.
I have them all. Yep. I went looking for those. I saw someone sold a bundle of 4 on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, cool, it's 1 through 4.
Yeah.
I wonder what folded that guy up.
Good question. Because that was 88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because off the top of my head, the cover that stands out is Leviathan.
Yes.
with like the face coming out of the monster's back.
I love the font.
Me too.
It's kind of reminiscent of Horror Hound for me.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. So there's Leviathan, Nightbreed, Phantom of the Opera, the Robert Englund one, and then Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the whole fucking run.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe that. And the thing is, it looks very Fango.
Yeah. I just wonder, because I don't remember the magazine. I remember the covers.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it, too much, but I think it might have been almost like on the fanzine level, where it wasn't like a full-blown publisher like a Forrest Ackerman or a Tony Timpone.
Sure.
Where they didn't have the money behind them and it might have been a limited press. So,
But these are high quality.
Very high quality.
Because
but here's the thing. I don't remember if the pages, were they full color pages on the inside?
I think so. Yeah, if I remember right.
Because I don't remember them, man. I would love to find them. And you have them?
I got all 4. Bagged and boarded, my dude. 1, 2, 3, 4. Charlotte Magazine Corp. Yeah, I have no idea.
Terrible.
No idea. But it wasn't bad. I remember pulling it open and just thinking, and I was looking forward to, trying to hunt down more. But
right.
Yeah, man.
They don't exist.
That was that. So I was like, oh, good. One purchase and I've cleared their coffer.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
It is, but it's what could have been. Who knows what they would have done.
R.I.P. horror fan.
R.I.P. horror fan. And then I get into Fangoria.
Okay.
I did get Fangoria. Kind of a late one to Fangoria. Because I want to say one of the first ones I got might have been Batman Returns. You remember that?
I do.
And I think I was able to because I doubt my folks would have gotten the more grisly issues. But yeah, Batman was like, oh, it's Batman. So here you go. And I remember thinking, Batman was just a part of the reason I got this.
Right.
But it was like, I remember when I had a job in high school, I started running around actually looking for it. And I think the first one I ever bought for myself with my money was the Bad Moon issue.
Okay. I know that one.
Yep. And I remember it had the Frighteners in it. Frighteners was new. Scream was on deck. It was a cool issue, man. There were bad reviews coming in about Escape from L.A.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I love Fangoria. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like Fangoria really liked giving bad reviews.
Dude, I'm looking at your horror video. Fangoria's horror video.
Yeah.
It looks like Jason from maybe Manhattan, if I'm looking at him right. So this is roughly 88, 89. And I'm thumbing through it with you the other night, and every fucking review was like savage. And I'm like, these movies are great. Like, who the fuck wrote the reviews here?
Cutting them off at the ankles.
Oh, man.
Everybody. Wasn't it like Creepshow 2, I think?
Or not only just a bad sequel, but like one of the worst sequels of all time. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. So yeah, they really beat the shit out of it.
I remember Fangoria doing that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's because they are sort of the horror elitist because they're such a staple in the genre. So I figure it's just like, well, if it doesn't
live up to a certain standard,
then it's no good. But I'm just like, can they say that now with these movies all being cult classics now?
I don't know.
And just classics in general, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they could. How could you say anything bad about Creepshow 2? You know what I mean? Like, really, when you think about it, like, that is a fucking perfect movie.
I have my qualms with Creepshow 2, but it's not a bad film. It's a great movie. And the thing is, knowing, doing deep dives on Creepshow the way, of course, I did, the fact that a good movie came out of so much duress.
Yeah.
That is like one of the most plagued.
Oh, yeah, that's insane.
It's like the fact that we got anything even coherent.
I mean, I think we should definitely do a Creepshow 2 show.
Yeah.
Especially just based on that book. That book was gut-wrenching, man.
Let me tell you, that book gave me anxiety attacks.
It's like if you can read that book and still go, okay, I want to do this for a living, then you're cut out for this job.
If nothing else, that book will separate the men from the boys.
Definitely.
That's for damn sure.
Definitely.
Let me look it up. Is it just the making of Creepshow 2?
I think so.
Lee Carr. Karr. Lee Carr. This came out 2 years ago, and I'm telling you, I couldn't put it down. for one. This is the same cat who did, I believe, the making of Day of the Dead.
Yes.
Which I haven't busted that one open yet.
Oh, no?
I do own it.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
But Creepshow 2, it was like, I knew from the commentary by Michael Gornick on the Anchor Bay edition that it was a tough shoot. And he pointed out days that were bad and this and that and the other thing. But until you read the book by Lee Carr, fuck.
Yeah.
You have no idea what they went through to make that movie.
Right.
And then now I have, as much as I've always liked it, I have such newfound respect for that movie because it's like, bro, you were dealt one of the shittiest hands in Hollywood. And you managed to pull off something that lots of people love. And even when we went to the con, there's so many people there that prefer it to the first one that it's like, you never would have thought that in 87 when you're in the thick of it.
I definitely don't prefer it to the first one.
No, the first one's just so original and vibrant and funny. And there's so much talent that you're like, it almost feels like a horror episode of like Saturday Night Live.
It's a living, breathing comic.
It is. And they couldn't, like physically, budgetarily couldn't do that with 2.
No.
And you have to give it that.
And the fact that they did what they could with what they had, and they were still able to make something like that, it's pretty fucking impressive.
It is. I know we went off the rails here for a minute, but it's because of Fangoria that we learned stuff like that.
That's exactly what it is.
It was Fangoria that would show us. I do, obviously, having collected back issues and stuff now.
Yeah.
Some of the photos from the set of Creepshow 2 and, you know, the makeup. That was one of the things about Fangoria that was so cool was even if I didn't, like, I never aspired 100% to be a makeup artist, but the craft was something I was deeply interested in.
Right.
And the biggest caveat to collecting Fangoria, and I still stand by this, spoilers. Because in showing you the makeup and in showing you the carnage that was going to come to the screen in the theater near you, you knew who was going to die.
Yeah.
And that fucked me up.
Oh, did it really?
It did a few times where I'm reading about it and I go, oh, fuck. You know, I'm like, well, it spoiled it for me. Now I know so-and-so's head, if they're making a plaster mold of their head's coming off or, you know.
Right.
So it was shit like that where I was like, oh, man. So Fangoria kind of became one of those where I was like, I was much more enamored with reading the back issues because these are movies I've seen dozens of times over.
Yeah.
Getting the scoop.
Right.
Whereas if I were to buy like the new Nosferatu one you've got there, if I hadn't seen the movie already, I probably wouldn't crack it open.
Oh, just because you don't want to find anything out.
I don't want to find anything out.
Well, because they still do it.
They're still kind of spoilery in that regard.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
So, and that was the other thing. I think like the Bad Moon one I bought, it was cool because one of the big pictures in that one was the werewolf biting someone on the head who was like a construction worker, it looked like. He was like biting through a helmet.
Yeah.
And you see this geyser of blood shooting out of the guy's cranium. That's like a nothing character that gets killed within the first like 15 minutes.
Right.
So it was one of those deals where it could be a spoiler, but it wasn't. But it was like I didn't mind it so much then until I got older and then was like, maybe I should read this after I watch the movie.
Yeah.
And definitely not the reviews, you know.
No.
The reviews they would color your opinion before.
My favorite part of Fangoria were always the set visits.
Yes.
Because they would just talk about what's going on. You would get a few words from George.
Oh, yeah.
Or John, instead of the fog, or, Day of the Dead, whatever it was. You would get a few words and you would get kind of like that teaser of what's to come. That was cool. I remember, again, Fangoria is my all-time favorite magazine.
Okay.
It's like I
hands down.
I've always loved Fangoria. Yeah, and I remember my very first Fangoria I've ever bought was 86. No, 89. 89.
Year 89 or issue 89?
No, 1989. Nightmare 5 was on the cover.
Oh, okay.
That was the first one that I ever picked up on the shelf. I remember that.
Yeah.
And now what I've been trying to do is accumulate the first 100.
Which you said you're how close?
Now I'm like 2 away because of Outpost 31 Comics.
Yes.
Who they attended.
Creep IE.
Yeah. And he had, that issue right behind you, which I think is 97, which is the Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
I asked him if he had it, and he said he did, and he looked for it. This was on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally on Sunday, he sees me in the aisle, and he's like waving, and he's like, dude, I went home and I found it. I have it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a fucking cool dude. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
Like, oh my God, to do that shit. So I made it a point to run and grab it because it is one of my all-time favorite covers.
Sure.
I love the cover so much. I love like the fluorescent orange strip. I love that zombie. Like that's the fresh zombie.
Yes.
With the suit where he comes out of it and he gets stabbed with the bouquet.
Yep.
I love that fucking zombie.
Very fucking.
And the fact that he was able to, find it was so rad. But now because of him, I'm literally like 2 away from the 100, which was like a crazy feat that's taken me literally decades to do it.
Unreal.
Yeah, because they're hard to find. And I'm also like, I don't just want a shitty copy.
No.
And I also don't take them if they have like someone's address on them.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
I could see that. Yeah, like an actual subscribe.
Yeah, like I won't take them that way, So yeah, but I'm like 2 away from 100. So
that's amazing.
I'm super happy about that.
I can't believe that.
Just
that
another
so cool,
useless waste of my life that I'm very proud of.
As you should be.
I am.
Were you a Starlog kid or no?
Not really.
Me neither.
Yeah, no, not really.
Not really sure when it ended, but I did.
Yeah, no, I never. I think I do have a couple of Starlogs because of E.T.
Sure.
And I even think like Close Encounters.
Oh, sure. That'd be, yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the ones that why I own a Starlog.
Which is funny too, because there are early Fangos that are like the cover movie was Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
well, there's a Superman.
Saturn 3.
There's a Chris Reeve is on the cover of
a Fango?
No, not Fango. It's Famous Monsters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so even that.
Yeah.
It's Superman.
Right.
How funny. Yeah, I never would have thought that.
Yeah.
But you could see where the crossover began. I wonder if you could, obviously you could probably do the same with Starlog near the end.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is starting to show more horror.
Exactly.
People were seeing how the tides changed.
Yep.
No, that's pretty cool. No, I was definitely a big Fango guy, but I stopped collecting once I hit my next one, which was Horror Hound.
Oh, you stopped?
I did, because it was getting too expensive for me to collect them both.
Okay.
Actually, not even both. I was going to bookstores and grabbing Fango, Rue Morgue, Horror Hound, and that eventually adds up.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I was like, I gotta pick one. And Rue Morgue, as cool as they are, they were another one where the reviews were just kind of cynical. And
right.
I remember one of the last ones I got was, I've bought some since. It was mostly because of whatever was on the cover, like a retrospective about like The Thing or something like that. But one of the last ones where I started to decide this one might fall by the wayside, it was when I think Amityville, the remake, came out.
Okay.
And they did a big retrospective on the Amityville horror series up to that point. And it was just, I could tell from reading the column that it was like, whoever wrote it was just not a fan of the entire series.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was basically just kind of shitting all over 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was like, I get if it's not your thing, but I thought magazines and retrospectives were supposed to sort of celebrate the topic.
Yeah.
And it was like, so this is like 5 or 6 pages with columns, split, and photos and all this, basically saying how bad this series is. And I was like, there's fans of this series. Myself, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Because out of the first 8, like, to me, the core series is the first one up to Dollhouse. That's when the continuity kind of stops after that.
Okay.
Because 1, 2, and 3 take place in the home. 4 through 8 take place elsewhere in Amityville, but there's a cursed object from the home that's found at a yard sale or something. And that's based off of the book, Amityville, The Escape, or something like that. I forget. But the book is like an anthology of objects taken from the Amityville home after it was broken down, and the Lutz's, belongings were sold off or something. So yeah, the franchise got kind of anthology-like. Like you'd go to someone's house, you have no idea what the connection is. Oh, I just bought this clock from Amityville, you know, or this lamp came from the Amityville estate. So it got kind of cheesy, but it was always like there was a thread back to the home.
Right.
And man, some of them are pretty bad. Some of them surprisingly good. But this column, whoever wrote it was just kind of like, they're all shit. What are you going to do?
That's crazy.
And I just remember thinking, you need new writers.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're going to do I call it the TMZ powwow, where everyone's just sitting around the cubicles going blah, 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 you know, why doesn't the editor-in-chief go, who enjoys the Amityville movies? Bob throws an arm up. You're in charge of the Amityville retrospective. Now you got someone who enjoys it and can do a deep dive and give fans who also enjoy it, a chance to look into their favorites. Right. So that was one of the reasons I stopped collecting Veru. I talked about Fangoria being kind of spoilery, so I kind of dropped that one.
Yeah.
And I stuck with Horror Hound because it wasn't just horror news. It was a very small part of it. It was horror collecting.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. That was just one of those things where I was like, holy shit. I never even thought about that. A magazine that catalogs all the toys and books and comics and posters. And, it was like, it opened up a whole new world to me where it was like, I knew these things probably existed, but to see them collected here where I can flip through the pages and go, oh, they made a fucking Conjuring bobblehead, or, hey, look, there's a whole set of Beetlejuice coming out from NECA, stuff like that.
It was a collectible archive.
It was a collectible archive. And I was like, that's kind of what I want now.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need the info on the movies because by this point the internet existed.
Right.
I could get the news as I wanted it. But it was like, now that I'm, waist deep in horror, I can just collect this one and I'll still get news, but I'm also getting the fandom, the retrospectives that are written by people who like these movies. And you got Sean Clark's Horror's Hallowed Grounds in there.
Right.
Every issue ended with a Horror Hound Hall of Fame where they paid tribute to one specific movie. And it was just cool. It was a really fucking rad magazine. So Horror Hound was the next one I jumped on. And I just kept going from there. And I have...
How many do you have? Yeah.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
Every issue.
Yep. Where are we at now? As of this writing, issue 103 is the one on the stands with Sleepy Hollow retrospective. And yeah, I got it.
Number 103.
103. So yeah, if you're serious about making me those binders.
Oh, yeah.
There's I can put you to work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I love collecting magazines.
Yeah.
I don't have many framed because honestly, I like reading them still and looking through them because it is a glimpse into the past that you can't get from the internet.
No, you can't.
Because this magazine is from that time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And that's why it's like, it is a time capsule. Every time you open it up, you're whisked away right back to 1988 or the set of Night of the Living Dead or the set of Day of the Dead.
100%.
And it's like, oh, coming soon, Pet Sematary. I'll never forget that. That's so funny to me. You know what I mean? Like, seeing all that kind of shit, it's like, you're not going to get that anywhere else except for magazines, and like you, I kind of whittled it down to where I only collect Famous Monsters and Fangoria now.
Sure.
I do have other ones, like I said, the horror fans and some Rue Morgue, some of the gore zones, things like that. Slaughterhouse. Sure. I don't know if you remember Slaughterhouse or not.
No, that one doesn't ring a bell.
I think Slaughterhouse might have been UK as well. I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. But now it's Fangoria. At Creep IE, I went ahead and got a subscription to Fangoria.
No shit.
Yeah, that's how I got that.
Oh, that's the con exclusive.
That's the only way you can get that is by signing up at a con.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the one I got for Tina.
Okay.
The other Nosferatu cover. So yeah, so I was able to get that. And then I thought it was cool because Fangoria did that collab with Creep IE, for the Lost Boys. I'm like, I love that kind of shit.
Me too. I do love exclusives like that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Slaughterhouse right now and I don't recognize this.
Are you serious?
Nope. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Was it UK?
It doesn't say because it's a lot of listings. HCS Associates. Yeah, it doesn't say if it's UK or not. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't recognize this cover.
Really?
And it's a little... Okay, so it was around for a minute because...
Oh, no, it was around for a while.
I was going to say, issue number 1, they're talking about Fright Night 2, They Live, and an interview with Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Deadly Spawn 2, which, yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, $2.95 US, $3.95 Canada. The dad doesn't say anything about UK, but maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never... This doesn't ring a bell at all. None of these covers.
Huh.
Not even the font or anything. I'm like, nope.
Did you pick up issue 222 of Rue Morgue?
Let me see.
Very important issue.
An Evening with Clive Barker, the one behind you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did get that one?
No, I need to. We need to get that one. That's to support our good friend
Yeah,
Bill.
it has a farewell to dark delicacies, a really good article inside. Very bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very cool. Very cool pictures inside that spread. I highly recommend everyone grabbing it and run over there and make Dell sign it. He would love that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're not kidding, dude.
I'm going to make him sign mine.
You should.
And then I'm going to stick it in the cabinets we're getting.
Well, since I probably won't be here to see Dell this time, maybe I'll just forward you some money and you pick one up for me.
Yeah.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
Because, I definitely want Dell to sign that.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet. But that's kind of all I've got. I do have like a kind of an honorable mention.
Okay.
But I used to collect Hit Parader.
Okay.
The heavy metal mag.
Yeah.
I used to get that a lot. And I usually used it more for wall decor.
Yeah.
I bought it mostly for the posters and the 8x10s.
Well, then I'll have an honorable mention too. Circus. I bought Circus.
You bought Circus?
I did.
Yep. I've got a few of those too.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
mainly for the hair metal because,
that was us, man. We grew up metalheads.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was definitely, and that one, as much as I dug the pictures and all that, I really was reading about new albums that were coming. And,
yeah.
So I really enjoyed Hit Parader, and I know that one died out, I think, a little over 10 years ago. Maybe more.
Man, that's one thing I've always wanted to do, and I've even tried to talk to Sam. You met Sam recently.
Yes, Sam's a good guy.
Yeah, man, I've always wanted to start my own magazine.
Oh, jeez.
I know it's expensive, but it's just like, God damn it, with the amount of people that we know and the things we can do.
The $51.95 magazine.
If we could just do, fucking just it would be so much fun.
That's a pretty rad idea.
It is, and I know Dell hates the name, but nevertheless, it would still be cool, and he would contribute.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be.
But who knows? Who knows?
Fucking cool, man.
Who knows what's going to happen in the future?
Mm-hmm.
So, no, dude, that was fun.
Yeah, man.
It's like I love magazines. I've collected magazines my whole life, and I don't plan on stopping.
No.
No.
And if when my situation changes and I get a little more financially ahead, I might do the same as you and go back and hunt down issues of things that I used to have and no longer do.
Yeah.
Just to revisit some childhood stuff.
Well, yeah, because like a bucket list item for me, Famous Monsters #1.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's a bucket list issue. I got it. Well, no.
I thought you were gonna say Playgirl with Peter Steele.
I have that one. I actually have the Playgirl with Burt Reynolds. So.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. It's like the page is like it's all been licked off. All the color's been licked off. But,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to buy a better copy then.
No. I have like 12. 15,
is that the stack I saw next to the bed?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going through them the way Snoopy goes through Bones.
Yes. Yeah. Literally.
Gotcha.
Literally Bones.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm glad we ended that way.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really good. So hopefully the show gets deleted too. So thank you for doing this with me.
Of course.
Until next time.
See you guys.